Bet horse racing on DRF Bets. We'll match your first deposit of $200. Get free expert picks and past performances, plus weekly cash back. All from Daily Racing Form, the most trusted name in horse racing.
Hi everybody, Dan Illman here, taking a look at the feature race at Woodbine on Sunday. Race number 8 is the Grade 2 Autumn. We're going 1 mile and a 16th on the Tapeta surface. $175,000 is the purse. Let's take a look at this field. It's a pretty competitive field. Just think, you have a classic winner in here at 20-1 on the morning line. That's Mighty Heart, who won the Queen's Plate in 2020. He's dropping out of the Woodbine Mile. He obviously has a ton of back class. Who's the Star beat several of these last time out in the Durham Cup, rallying from off of a hot pace. And I think that's a decent enough segue for the Timeform US pace projector. Timeform US believes that the number 3, War Bomber, who was part of the pace in the Durham Cup, can get to the lead. I'm not sure it's as easy as that, because we know that Mighty Heart's best races have come when he's forwardly placed. Is he fast enough at this point in his career to go with War Bomber? That's kind of a key to the pace, but I think the real key to the pace is the number 8, Treason, who really was impressive in his first start over a synthetic surface, utilizing newfound speed tactics. If that's his way of going now, it's possible this pace could heat up, and it could set things up for a stalker or a closer. You don't really worry about pace situations with a horse like the 1, Harlan Estate, because he's so tactical. Breaking from the inside post, he's likely to just save ground and work out a good trip in the second flight or so. He worked out that sort of trip in his most recent race, the Presque Isle Downs Mile, where he finished a good second, sitting just off of a slow pace. His prior effort, a nice performance in the King Eddie on turf. He earned a 94 Beyer speed figure, which would play very well in this spot. He's equally adept on turf or synth. He has that good tactical gear. To me, 4-1's a little bit light, but this is a very likable horse. Second in the Prince of Wales, the second jewel of the Canadian Triple Crown back in 2021. Novo Sol is the 2, and while Novo Sol finished behind Harlan Estate last time out in the Presque Isle Downs Mile, he might have actually run a better race. A, it was his first start off of a little bit of a layoff, about 2 months. B, as I mentioned earlier, the pace was very slow, and Novo Sol tried to rally from last. And 3, he was sort of in behind horses and didn't have a clear run until late in the game. I thought he ran pretty well, Novo Sol, and I think he's found his surface now. He's good on turf. He's better on synth. We saw a really nice performance out of him 2 starts back at Gulfstream on the Tapeta surface. Novo Sol, I think, has a little bit more tactical speed than he showed in his most recent race, but if this pace does heat up, he can come running late. We'll find out if he's this good. He's graded stakes placed on turf. He competed with Harlan Estate last time out, and he's a decent price play, 12-1 on the morning line. War Bomber is the 3. He's the expected pace setter on Timeform US's pace projector, and last time out in the Durham Cup, he broke best of all. The jock seemed intent, though, on sitting just off the pace. He let a horse breaking from the rail hustle up inside of War Bomber, and the next thing you know, they were hooked up in a battle on the backstretch. War Bomber eventually got the better of his pace pursuer, made a brief lead turning into the stretch, and then couldn't hold off the stalker, Artie Storm, and then the closer, Who's the Star. I like the performance for War Bomber. He really didn't give too much ground in the stretch. He won the pace battle, he lost the race war, and maybe he's just at his best when he's on the lead, as we saw 3 starts back in the Seagram Cup at this distance, where he was able to get to the front and relax. He's 12-1 on the morning line, and he might have a little bit of a better pace setup this time around if he is quicker than Mighty Heart and if he is quicker than Treason. Speaking of Mighty Heart, his accomplishments speak for themselves. He is a millionaire. He won this race last year when he was able to get to the lead and control the pace, and since then he's seeking his first victory. The Woodbine Mile last time out was just too tough at this point in his career. He ran into Modern Games, who's going to be the favorite in the Breeders' Cup Mile. Ivar, the runner-up, came back to hit the board in the Coolmore Turf Mile at Keeneland with a 101 Beyer speed figure. That's a grade 1 race. 2 starts back in the Niagara. He didn't make the lead against Who's the Star. The pace was solid, and he got tired in the lane. He has the back class to win a race like this. Should he be 20-1 in this race? I'm not sure. That seems a little bit high for a horse that can probably work out a decent enough trip. I'm not sure if he's in the form to beat 2 or 3 horses that could be in better form right now. Frosted Over is up next, 5th in the Durham Cup last time out. He's been the beaten favorite in his last 2. and he just looked flat in those races, both the Seagram Cup and the Durham Cup, where I think the trip was there for him, and he just didn't fire on in the stretch. He was very good to start the year. Second in the Eclipse, winner in the Dominion Day, going 1 1/8, and I wonder if he's just petered off form since then. Frosted Over is a horse that would benefit if the pace is fast. 12-1 on the morning line is fair for a horse that's 4 for 9 lifetime at Woodbine. I just wish he was coming into this race in seemingly better form. Who's the star Stars up next. We're going to watch his performance in the Durham Cup. This was the race where the pace was fast. We turn into the stretch. War Bomber as the lead. Artie Storm's going to take over. And Who's the Star is going to wear them all down to win. This horse is 3 for 3 at Woodbine. 2 for 2 on the turf. Of course, the win in the Durham Cup. He does have an explosive stretch kick. This distance is very comfortable for him. And if the pace is fast, you know he's going to be running on in the end. He is in form, obviously. He just earned a 101 Buyer's speed figure. But he does seem like a one-run closer, dependent on pace and race luck. Riptide Rock is up next. He's moving turf to synthetic, and he's done some good work on the synth in his career. 5th last time out on the grass, going a mile and a 16th. There wasn't a ton of pace on that day for him, and he just sort of finished evenly along the inside. He was second in the Ontario Derby last year, second in the Breeders' Stakes. He has plenty of back class. He just hasn't improved much this year at age 4 over his 3-year-old form, where he was second in last year's Queen's Plate. Riptide Rock obviously has back class, but isn't coming into this race maybe in the best current form. Treason started his career in the Bill Mott barn. He sold for $150,000 at public auction during the end of 2021. It took Josie Carroll a while to get him to the races. It was worth the wait. Let's watch Treason's first start at Woodbine. This is off about a year layoff, and he never gave them a chance. He went to the lead. He opened up 5 lengths in the blink of an eye, and he wins by almost 20 with a 101 Buyer's speed figure. This was his first race as a gelding, and maybe the Constitution gelding is really on his way right now to finding his best form. He still has upside potential as a lightly raced 4-year-old. He doesn't necessarily need the lead to win, although that could be a preferred running style. It was an easy trip for him last time out against an overmatched field, so he's stepping up in class. He is stepping up from a pace standpoint, but boy, that was impressive last time out. 2-1 a little bit light considering the class and pace questions. Money Printer is up next. This horse certainly deserves an opportunity at this class level. He's won 3 out of his last 4 starts, including this race at Woodbine on October the 13th on the turf. He got right up close to a solid pace. He sprints on home. He wins as much the best with a 91 Buyer's speed figure. He's in very good form right now. This is the toughest test of his career. He's going to be stepping up into a stakes race for the first time. We saw Artie Storm give it his all in the Durham Cup. He ran extremely well that day. He always seems to be a little bit underrated. Finished behind Who's the Star last time. Chased War Bomber in vain 2 starts back when that one got loose on the lead. He did win the Eclipse in his seasonal debut. He is not like he has a character flaw because he's lost 3 of his last 4 races by running second. He can win races if he gets the right trip and setup, and maybe he was just a little bit too close to the pace last time out before making that first run at War Bomber. He earned a very respectable buyer. I think he's a contender in this race. Candy Overload is going to be stretching out after finishing 5th in the Vigil. He finished ahead of a horse that came back to win on Tapeta, an allowance race with a 91 Buyer's speed figure. The distance is a big question mark, especially from this tough outside post 11, because he's going to be stretching out for the first time. Doesn't show a lot of speed sprinting. I think his best tactics are to be taken back and try to make one run. I don't think he's the best closer in this race. So a lot to ask from Candy Overload. Top pick time for the Grade 2 Autumn. I'm going to go with War Bomber. I think 12-1 on the morning line is a very appealing price for a horse that could be the fastest out of the gate. If he can outfoot Mighty Heart, and he drew inside Mighty Heart, and if he can outfoot Treason, and he drew inside Treason, and get to the front, get a little bit of a break, maybe we'll see a carbon copy of the Seagroom Cup where he pulled off the gate-to-wire upset over Artie Storm at 18-1. So we'll see what War Bomber does. He should be a fair price in the autumn on Sunday, the day after the Breeders' Cup. This is the feature at Woodbine. Good luck.